You guys, this topic is very sensitive, and oftentimes in narcissistic relationships, things do get physically violent, right? Tempers are flaring. You're crazy with what they've done to you. You can't control your screaming. They can't control their misbehaving. It gets escalated out of control, and domestic violence can come up. I would like to point out to you guys that domestic violence is violence. Take the word domestic out of it. That's just an adjective. Take it out. Because I think sometimes people look at domestic violence as lesser than, right? Lesser than. Well, it's domestic violence. It's violence. I want you to think of a news story. This'll maybe, the latest you've seen, where violence was involved. Someone was mugged, screamed at, beat up, shot and killed. That's exactly what can and does happen in domestic violence as well. Just because the word domestic, it sounds so nice, domestic. Domestic, I don't think they should use that. It's just violence. Domestic just indicates it's between family. Usually I think it means, if you look it up, it probably means within the same household. That's generally the feeling I get. Somebody gets a call on domestic violence. It's within the household, right? But it's exactly the same thing happening in domestic violence that happens in real violence. It's just someone you know that's doing it to you instead of a stranger. That's worse. Isn't that worse? And I don't want people not thinking it's a big deal because it's domestic violence. Now, we all know the trappings of it. They don't want to tell. It'll be worse for them. The person doesn't get taken away. Blah, 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 blah. There's all these reasons. And then they fear the rest of their life. They feel stuck. They've been pushed down so far, self-esteem-wise. They can't picture leaving. It's very sad what happens in a domestic violence situation. And I just want you to understand that you're not alone. Because I do feel like people think... Now, I have never been in that kind of situation. But many people fall into it and they couldn't picture themselves in that situation either. They probably at one point in their life said, I would leave someone if they ever did that to me. I'd leave on the first one. And here they are, months, maybe even years later, dealing with this. Now, why do I bring this up? Because I feel like sometimes prefacing violence with the word domestic can confuse people into thinking it's not as bad as all that. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's worse. Someone you know is doing any of this aforementioned to you, screaming, hitting, shooting, killing. That's someone you know did that to you. Someone you know. How could anything be worse than that? Than a stranger on the street in a mugging doing that to you. It's the same violence. And if you are experiencing that and you don't know how to get out of it or what to do, or you feel stuck or hopeless, there's a shelter, for example, in my county, and this was 20 years ago. And I went there, and she ended up getting everything from me. Everything. When I say everything, I mean my daughter's bassinet, car seat, TV, VCR, clothes, my husband at the time's clothes, stuffed animals, everything, everything, everything. Because she told me that there are women that show up at this shelter with them, their baby, and the clothes on their back. They don't have anything. Because they left in a moment of free, where they could get free, and that's it. They didn't turn back. Talk about a warrior, okay? And this is slightly off topic because that person may or may not have been in a narcissistic relationship, but if they're in an abusive relationship and they got out, all hail. Because can you imagine? Some of you can. I've talked to you. And you can picture it. My heart breaks. And coming off this week's topics of, are you first choice? And, you know, is the person into you? I think it's a fair and global and 100% across the board assessment that if it's gotten into any kind of domestic violence, I think it's safe to say they're no longer into you. And I just want to let you know that you do have worth. You do have value. I don't care what he says. Or she. Put pronoun in, make it your own. You know that. Mine is he for a romantic partner. That's what my stories follow. But if you are having this kind of behavior done to you, please try to seek something. I know all the trappings of calling the police and they come and then it gets worse. I get it. But try to see if there is a shelter in your county. Is it easy to leave with your baby and nothing else? No. But you could plan an exit strategy. You could start to pack things. You could start to save money if you have any. You could start to make phone calls. You could start to something. But remaining in it is not your station. It is not what you deserve. You deserve way more. Anyone does. Anyone does. I don't care if they've made you feel worthless, because that's what they do, right? They'll talk and make you feel worthless. So now you're way down here and you think you deserve what they're doing to you. No, you don't. Because every single human being, our foreign relations, all that is based on that, right? Humanity, right? That's what we want, humane treatment. Well, you deserve humane treatment. Across the board, everybody. Human compassion, decency, respect, no violence. I'd say that's not a tall order. And if you're going through that, please try to think of something that you can do where you can get yourself out of that situation. I never tell anyone to leave in a narcissistic relationship because it's a very personal choice. But if you are being attacked in this way, I definitely would say you need to leave. 100%. I know you might feel stuck, but where do I go? What do I do? Seek help somewhere. Go to your local church. If you have a church, go to a shelter. Make phone calls when they're not looking. Try to stash money when they're not looking. Try to pack clothes. Give a suitcase to a friend. Give a suitcase another day to another friend. Not a suitcase. They might see the suitcase missing. A box or a bag of clothing to a friend. They'll never notice clothing missing. I could get rid of 5 garbage bags of clothing in my closet and a man would never know. I'm sorry, you guys. You don't pay attention. Make arrangements, seek help. Do not sit in a situation because someone made you feel like you deserve it. I got through this without crying. You guys saw I was trying to hold it on. I'm doing it again. I just can't help it. It's not nice, and I don't want you guys in that kind of situation. So do yourselves a favor and try to make moves to get out. Stay safe. Everybody have a good weekend. Please go ahead and hit sub, like, and share, and I will see you guys Monday. Be safe, guys. Please.